talk to him.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to invite everyone to rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Phyllis, would I have roll call, please?
Ian Collier.
Here.
Craig Koshaw.
Here.
Matt Dyer.
Here.
Tyler Fulenkamp. Here. Wiley Sir.
Here. You all emailed a copy of the minutes from our September 6th meeting. If I could have a motion to approve those minutes, please. So moved. Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from September 6th. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. The first thing we have this evening is our public hearing on our 2017 proposed budget. So I need to close the
Suspend the regular meeting.
You guys know the routine.
I make
a motion do that every meeting now.
to suspend our council meeting.
Second. A motion and a second to suspend the council meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
Now motion to open the public hearing. Make a motion to open the public hearing for
2017
2017 proposed budget.
Second. Motion and a second to open a public hearing for the 2017 proposed budget. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Okay, we're now in a public hearing for our 2017 budget. Phyllis,
Okay.
would you like to lead us through this?
Sure. Okay, our total budgets with the tax rate totals $8,587,446. We have a proposed tax rate of $1.49. That's calculated on 85% of the current AV. Our tax levy is at $4,595,930. This will include the DLGF's estimated tax caps. Once DLGF reviews our budgets, they'll go through everything. These are all estimates, and they told us that these estimates are really high for the property tax caps. So I think we will have, let me see, I think I have copies for you guys too. This is for all the numbers. Okay, counted that right. So I prepared ordinance, it's ordinance number 2016-12. I don't know if you guys want to have any discussion. Do you have any questions? Or the public have any questions on it? Yeah, if you can.
Oh, did I not pass enough?
No, I have it for Bob and Bob.
Give to the two Bobs.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, maybe you said this, and I was not paying attention. The economic development income tax credit, is that just seated?
That's seated. Actually, that is not on property tax, but they said I have to advertise it because it's tax dollars, it's income tax.
Does Lowit in here at all?
Can you pass this, please?
Lower.
Lowit's at the bottom.
Here.
Sorry. Got it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because that's not reviewed by DLGF either. You can have these two.
So, if I understood you right, Phyllis, as far as the tax caps, DLGF is saying what's been
Next
given.
one will show better.
Oh, okay. Is estimated high?
Yeah, it's really estimated high. Normally, it's about $250,000, and they're estimating $791,000, so
Do you have
it's quite a
one
bit
more
more.
of these?
I have, yeah. You have them for Bob and Bob.
Need one more.
Got one.
For
I
Bob
think he
and Bob.
had the other one. And I think the reason why DLGF did this is they'd rather us estimate high. That way we're not losing out on the tax distribution. So I think it's kind of, will be helpful in the
So
long
they
run.
really are trying to help us.
Yeah, I think so.
Doesn't sound right. but-
Well, it doesn't, but I think once they work the budgets, I think
Okay.
it'll be helpful. Because it's always supposed to advertise really high,
Right.
and then
Exactly.
they can
Yeah.
lower it to the right amount.
Yeah.
once all the revenues are in.
Because you can't go up. after.
Correct, right.
So is there anything in the budget that we looked at a month ago that we would like to make any changes to? This is our last chance to add. We can always decrease, but I don't
You
know.
can't add anything now. It's already been advertised. You can only
But
decrease
we
it.
can decrease.
Right.
What would we decrease?
I said, but we
We
could
could decrease,
Decrease
yes.
it.
decrease.
And that would be at the next meeting?
We'll adopt it at the next meeting.
So we'd have to do it today, or tonight, right? If we
For
wanted,
an
if we wanted to
increase.
discuss any reductions, we'd have to do it tonight.
Yeah.
I don't really know of anything.
The only thing that is on my mind is that extra police position that was in the budget.
Yeah, we had, we have one police officer to replace from one who has left us. And then we have okayed hiring an additional police officer for 2017. But we did allow Greg to keep in his budget money for 2 officers. But we have not approved hiring that second officer, but the money is in the budget. So if we want to keep that money in there, or if we don't. And Greg, do you recall off the top of your head how much that was, including all the benefits and everything?
One thing I might,
Right around 100,000.
assuming they go for the grant this year, I mean, if it comes up again, an opportunity. If I'm correct, Greg, the way that grant works is that they cover the cost for 3 years, and then we have a commitment. Is it 4 or beyond, or is it just 1 more year?
No, it's beyond, I think.
5, I think.
No, it's 4. Yeah.
Oh, we have for 4 beyond the 3.
No, we're obligated for that 4th year, is all,
Just 1 year?
just 1 year.
Which shows our commitment.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I would think that you could keep it in there, is just having as that placeholder.
From what Phil has told me, and this is back in June when we were working on some figures earlier, looks like probationary officer would be approximately 5,500, 5,600, or 50,600. And that includes the PERF and the Medicare, and that comes, I think, out of common council, did you say?
The benefits come out of, actually, the benefits come out of the police pension. The insurance comes out of common council, and the salary comes out of the police budget. So it's actually 3 different funds.
Everything is 74,800, almost 47, or 74,000. That's total package for one officer.
Personally, I'd say we keep it in there. That doesn't mean we're going to hire another officer. But I'd say we keep it in there. We have some unknowns right now that might...
Okay. And I understand that too. My other thought though too, if we, if we're not going to use that position, then that's just tax money that's being collected that doesn't really have a purpose. And I know it's not a huge amount, but still we're diligent about, but I appreciate what you said about that grant too. I mean, I don't want to collect taxes just for collecting taxes.
And council can reduce appropriations throughout the year too, at any time too. I mean, if you feel that any budget's got too much money in it.
And I'm going to assume too that mostly that there's no guarantee that the grant will come through either, so.
I'd make a motion to go ahead as presented.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to keep the budget as is throughout, or are you just talking about the police thing? Are you talking about the entire budget as presented? Or just the police?
Yeah, okay, first of all,
Oh,
what's the purpose of the public hearing? Is it to
Right.
get public comment, or is it for the board to...
yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, so I really think the discussion that you're taking on, yeah, you're
Yeah.
kind of getting ahead of the game a little
Sorry.
bit.
Sorry. Clyde's got something for us.
He does?
Maybe not.
Public have any input? Okay, guess not.
And you need a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second. A motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
Motion to
Make a motion to reopen...
go back into the
City council
regular
meeting.
meeting.
Second. Motion and a second to start the council meeting back. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
Now, if you want to make a motion to keep the proposed budget as it is in anticipation of actually acting on the ordinance at your next meeting, you can do that.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Thank you.
Sorry for jumping
Now,
in.
we go ahead with first and second reading of this ordinance, or is that...
Do you want the first and second readings tonight? Okay.
Okay, so now we need to go through two readings of ordinance 2016-12 on the proposed budget, and we will do the third reading at our next council meeting.
I'll make a motion to place ordinance 2016-12 on its first reading by short title.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2016-12 in its first reading by short title. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tim?
Ordinance number 2016-12, ordinance for appropriations and tax rates.
Make a motion to pass ordinance 2016-12 on its first reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2016-12 on its first reading. Should I have roll call vote?
Cam Collier.
Yes.
Craig Koshaw.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Yes.
Wiley Sir.
Yes.
Make a motion to place ordinance 2016-12 in second reading by short title.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2016-12 in its second reading by short title. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Tim?
Ordinance number 2016-12, ordinance for appropriations and tax rates.
Make a motion to pass ordinance 2016-12 on its second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2016-12 in its second reading by short title. We'll have roll call vote.
Cam Collier.
Yes.
Craig Koshaw.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Yes.
Wiley Sir.
Yes.
Can't table?
Yep. This is our next meeting. Make a motion to table ordinance 2016-12 until our next meeting on
October 4th.
October 4th. Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to table ordinance 2016-12 for passage at our next meeting on October 4th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. All right, next. Bill Slike, we need to get you up here so we can get you out of here. Bill from AECom is here this evening, been here all day, actually. And he's here to give us a little update on the progress of the sewer project.
Okay, we had our, this month, the second monthly progress meeting this month. The project is going along very well. Everything is going very, very smoothly. After the slow start that we had the first month, I think the contractor's almost made up back to where they belong on the schedule, in fact. We just approved the third pay application for them. The water main that we had to add as a change order is completed. I think that passed all the testing already. Jeremy's back there, I don't know if you can verify, but I'm pretty sure they said that's all passed and everything. They started the one main long bore, boring for installation, and they finished the main crossing with the interceptor sewer of Monroe Street or 224 over here by the bridge. And I think they just finished the bore coming across for the relief sewer, they need to install that manhole in the next couple of weeks. So everything's going very smoothly. The weather's been cooperative despite the rain, the weekly rains that we seem to have had. And right before the last time, the last meeting, I saw Decatur was listed on flooding on the Weather Channel, and I went, oh no, and there were actually no issues. So that's going well. We discussed today, in the next week or two, there will be some traffic closures that need to be made and some adjustments there. There's a maintenance of traffic plan that was included in the plans. Basically, this will be no turns from Monroe Street, 224, onto First Street. Right. And I believe there's no turns from there's no access from First Street onto Monroe as well. Because
First Street would be closed south of what we call the Leland Smith Building or Star Insurance Building. It would be closed from there to Monroe Street, but it would be open up to the parking lot behind our building.
Right.
But the intersection would be closed at First Street.
Right.
And that's during putting the manhole in.
Right. And it's about 3 or 4. It's expected to be. What did the contractor say? That's expected to be.
He said probably
about a week, I think, on that one. Might be a little longer on that one, because there's also the other spot is up at Jackson Street on First Street,
where they do the
there'll be
interceptor.
There would be
when they come down to the.
That's the relief sewer going to the blue
tank.
The blue tank.
Right.
That's still the relief sewer. The interceptor's done through there already, I believe.
Right.
So should be.
What about First Street north of Monroe? Is that going to remain closed?
That's going to remain closed for the time being, yeah.
It'd be open from Jackson down as far as the granary. But south of the granary would be closed. Because they will be cutting down First Street to the alley next to the old bank.
Right.
And coming up that alley to the alley behind the businesses there and the residences, and then they'll go north down that alley to the blue tank area.
Right. It's actually, the Jackson Street crossing is not right at First Street. It's, I think, on the alley.
Right, it's on the alley,
Right.
kind of adjacent to the blue tank area.
So it would be east of First Street.
East of First Street.
Yeah,
Right.
now, having said this, Bob, we need your help.
I'm totally confused, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're going south and east and west, up to the back parking lot and over
All
to the blue tank.
I need out of you right now is to put in the paper that...
I'm confused.
that Bob's confused, that in the next week to 2 weeks, somewhere in there, and I don't know the exact day for now, US 224 Monroe Street at First Street is going to come down to one lane in both directions. It'll be open, but it'll be narrowed to one lane in both east and westbound direction. And that intersection on First Street will be closed to First Street going both directions.
We're used to that on 27.
And then secondly, in the same time frame, Jackson Street will also be closed for a period of 2 to 3 days, somewhere in there. All this could happen at the same time, we don't know. And then lastly, when this does happen, this is real important, we will provide police traffic control at the intersection of East Monroe Street and US 224 during the coming and going times of school, okay? However, that doesn't help those living in Stratton Addition wanting to get out. So what we ask is that the people living in Stratton, and Jeremy is going to try to work and maybe put some temporary detour signs up during those times to exit through Harvester Lane onto East Monroe Street, and then they'll be able to get out easy because of the police directing traffic there. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, just let me know afterwards. I'll talk to you about it.
Police control.
Monroe, East Monroe, and by Townsend Tire there, but the old Townsend place there. Yeah.
Okay.
during the school hours, during the rush hours. Yeah,
And incoming too?
right. Income in the morning and in the afternoon. Any time that Jackson Street is closed and that First Street is limited, so. All right. Anything else, Bill?
There was the band issue with the,
Oh, yeah, we wanted,
with the
Mr. Fleming told us that he would have basically the First Street parking lot, that will be, all that area will be done by the time Californian Week comes, okay? Which we need to have done for the Californian Week. However, First Street will still be pretty much a mess. And there's a good chance that this intersection is going to be closed, and that area over there, and John, you might have to help me here, is where the bands have always staged.
That's where they pick up, the buses go to pick up the band after the parade.
After the parade, and then they hang around for awards or something or other after that, or... So we may have to, I'll have to work with the chamber, Craig, on finding a new place to stage the bands as they get done marching. It won't be, we can't use First Street, maybe Madison Street, maybe somewhere on Adams Street, I'm not sure, but we'll have to possibly have we'll work that out.
I think the concern was the south part of First Street is where they're working now and where the majority of the work will be. I kind of thought they would, by then they expected to have most of it north finished, but there's some of it's still going to be closed and may have...
Yeah, he just pretty much told us not to promise anything on First Street that week, on this, between Monroe and Jefferson. So, we'll work that out. Anything else that I'm forgetting?
No, I mean, the project's going well. Everybody,
They have a
great project when you have a happy engineer, or glad everything seems to be going good there, a happy contractor, and a happy end owner, user.
Inspector's happy.
Inspector's happy.
Everyone's
the testing
going
is
very
going
well.
very well. So
They are starting the bore area over here at Macklin's,
Yep.
and on the north edge of Macklin's, where they have that boring where it's going to be coming out, is that would be with the exit of the bore? It is like 35 feet deep from ground down. It's pretty amazing.
It's deep down there, but they're in and they're getting ready, the equipment ready to do the open cut through where the Loshi property was.
Right. But it's all going very well.
Yeah. This is.
All right. If nothing else, thank you, Bill, for your help. Media, do you have any questions for Bill? Okay.
You sure?
Thank you, Bill. Safe going home.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Adams County has a new Economic Development Director, and he is here this evening. I'd like to introduce Trevor Hobbs. Trevor, maybe you come forward and just tell council a little bit about yourself. They've probably read about you in the paper, but nonetheless, let's make this official. He's replacing Larry, an icon here in Adams County as far as economic development. So, Trevor, go ahead.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Trevor Hobbs, as I said. I grew up in the region in southwest Allen County. Went to high school, up through high school, and then from high school, I got an undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt in economics and political science with the idea of going to law school and becoming an attorney. Got my law degree from Washington University in St. Louis, proceeded to practice law and hate every minute of it. So from there I went to get an MBA, a Master's in Business from Indiana University, and then became a lawyer again after all that. Didn't hate it as much, worked with small businesses in an investment company that helped invest in them, and kind of the best thing I liked about it was helping these small businesses set themselves up for the future, kind of small business development, almost like what you see in Shark Tank, how they give advice to these small businesses. That I really enjoyed. When the company shut down due to illness of the principal, I really decided what do I really want to do with the credentials I have, and I kind of honed in on economic development, wanted to kind of give back to the community, and ended up working as a site selector in the southeast region, based out of Florida, but all throughout the southeast. For those of you familiar with site selection, it's basically the flip side of economic development, working for the companies, helping them pick the ideal locations, negotiate incentives and the like. Worked for that for a while, but still it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to come back to the area that I grew up in and work in one area and kind of help an area grow and prosper. That's kind of where my heart was, and so I moved back here with the intention of looking for a job in economic development in the area, and thankfully this position was available. And even more thankfully, they extended me the offer, and now here I am. So, you know, I've had a little bit of time. I'm not a local. Wasn't raised in Adams County. I was raised right across the border, though. The area means a lot to me, and anything I do here is going to help the entire region. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So I'm going to work hard for the residents of Adams County. They're my number one priority. I think an outsider's eye is going to be helpful coming in. I've had a lot of experience working with rural and smaller towns. As a site collector, we also did economic development consulting for these kind of smaller LEDOs, and I think that will be helpful in coming in here. I can see kind of the successes they've had and the failures they've had, and help Adams County kind of navigate around those. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I guess I can kind of give you, from what I've seen very preliminarily, working on kind of a strategic plan for what I hope to accomplish in Adams County. And it's a little bit different from traditional economic development, as I think we're actually in a fairly good place right now with very low unemployment, good jobs. There's room to grow, but that's actually on the economic side of it kind of a downside, because businesses coming in want ready employees. So when you have low employment, there's not unemployment, there's not a lot of employees. So kind of my priorities is working with the businesses we have, helping them grow and expand, and one of the biggest problems I'm noticing they're facing is workforce development. So that's another big plank of the plan, is to do workforce development. Traditional outreach is, and I'm not going to ignore traditional outreach, I just have to marshal the resources we have to the greatest benefit. And so to do that, I'm hoping to do what's an industry analysis and target specific industries that I think would really benefit Adams County. So instead of reaching out to a blanket to anybody who will come in, we find the people who we have the jobs for, that we find the people we have the businesses to really work together and create externalities, and we find a company that we have the workers for, and then we bring that type of company in, and we go out and target that specific type of company rather than just any company. So that's kind of my plan for here, is really build Adams County to put us in a position to move to the next level, while at the same time really guarding what we already have here and what's already been successful. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
I'll attest that Trevor pretty much hit the ground running. He shadowed Larry for a short time, and I know the last week or two he's been involved in a lot of meetings, and he's getting to know the area real quick. So,
if you haven't been invited yet, I'd like to invite you for October 18th. That's a Tuesday morning, the Big Goal Collaborative with Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership is having an educational summit. Good. That's at Sweetwater Sound.
Any other comments from council for Trevor? If not, hope to see you often. Yeah.
Well, on that note, I would, be more than happy to meet with each of you individually, so that if I can pass out some business cards, feel free to reach out.
I've already got mine.
Yeah, just hand them around.
All right.
Anything you need, my office is open, and I'll be stopping by to update you as necessary.
Thank you, Trevor. Congratulations on your new position, and look forward to working with you. Now, having said that, I'm sure Trevor has big shoes, but we know he had big shoes to fill. And Larry Macklin in this community goes back, I guess when I first got to know Larry, he was selling clothes down here on the corner. Yeah. He sold me a suit way back when. Yep.
Does it still fit?
No, it doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't fit. Too small. I mean, too big on me now. No. But anyhow, Larry has been involved in the community, and a myriad of different occupations. He was even our city clerk treasurer here for a stint, and a state senator, the DNR director, and chamber director, and economic development director these past 10 years. So he's given the vast majority of his life to this community, working in and serving this community. And for that, we would like to recognize you this evening. And we have written a proclamation with which I do enough talking. So I'm going to have Mr. Baker read this on your behalf, and then we'll continue after that. So if I have everyone's attention.
This is a proclamation of the City of Decatur honoring Larry D. Macklin. Whereas Larry D. Macklin has dedicated his life to serving others in a myriad of ways, locally and at the state level, both in his private life and as a public servant. And whereas most recently, over the last 10 years, he has served the citizens of Adams County as the Executive Director of the Adams County Economic Development Corporation, during which he was instrumental in facilitating economic growth and job creation, evidenced in part by over $280 million invested in Adams County industries, which helped retain and or create over 1,900 jobs, including those at Fleetwood, now Rev. 10 new business attractions initiated, facilitated 19 new revolving loan fund loans totaling $1.489 million to create jobs and business investments, played a substantial role in the creation of 2 certified industrial business parks in Decatur and Monroe, facilitated the replacement of the St. Mary's Railroad Bridge, facilitated cooperation through the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership, facilitated career development and job training for incumbent workers through Work One and Ivy Tech, coordinated numerous special projects involving parks and environmental issues. And whereas Larry has otherwise served our community with distinction for nearly 50 years, marked by exemplary dedication and success in every position he has held. And whereas the City of Decatur wishes to publicly acknowledge its deep appreciation for the contributions, achievements, and long-lasting impact of Larry D. Macklin's service to our community, now therefore, I, Kenneth L. Meyer, Mayor of the City of Decatur, on behalf of myself and all members of the Decatur City Council, with deep appreciation, thank Larry for his friendship, good nature, and generous love of our community, and do hereby proclaim and urge all citizens to join together in recognizing Larry D. Macklin for his distinguished career and contributions. Given under my hand on this 20th day of September in the year of our Lord 2016, Mayor Kenneth L. Meyer.
Now, having said that, Larry, if you'd come forward. Yeah, we're going to roast you now. No. There's one last thing we'd like to give you here from the city administration. I think it's very deserving this evening that we give you this key to the city.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And one last thing. It took me 8.5 months to get Mayor Schultz back in this room. But Larry, for something like this, he was willing to show up tonight. John, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of your friend?
You know how bashful I am?
Yeah.
No, Larry, it has always been a pleasure to work with you. Economic development is very important to our community. There's a couple of personal projects that really, I think Larry stood out on. Did a lot. It was in the proclamation Tim just read, the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
That was really kind of a quiet deal, but there's so many parts to it. But Larry's experience and contacts down in Indianapolis really brought the thing quickly together. It really did. And the other one is, I think we're working on this out here at the old Stratton area.
The wetlands, DNR
I think
wetlands.
before it's called that, but
It helped having the contact in the DNR, didn't it?
Contact DNR, that
Yep.
really helped us on getting things done. So, Larry, that person will be good. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Larry, anything you want to say?
Wow, this is cool. Disappointed John didn't talk about our trip to China. We better leave that one alone. Couple stories there, which I know are related to at least Brother Shaluka over there. Thank you, I'm indeed grateful for your kind comments. It is my life, it has been my life, public and community service, especially community service part. And, I've enjoyed it immensely. I only hope I've been able to make a difference in a positive way. I'm also grateful for all the support I've had along the way, especially from my family throughout the whole time. I want to thank you for your public service, to all of you and Mayor Schultz and the others. It's very meaningful, and you almost have to be from the inside looking out to understand on most occasions. And so, I don't know what comes next for me. I'm hoping, or Trevor is helping me a little bit, or I'm helping Trevor on one or two projects, but that will soon be over with, and we'll move on. But I suspect projects will present themselves, and we'll deal with them as they do, and I want to wish you well. Thank you so much for your time.
Here's your proclamation. Okay, moving on. Phyllis, I think we need to establish a non-reverting fund for the fire department for smoke detectors. Can you tell us about that?
The reason for this is the smoke detector program has gone very, very well, and the city has received a lot of donations, so to keep the money separate, fire department gets regular donations, but they are also getting donations for the fire detectors, so we want to create a separate fund to keep the money separate.
And to do this, we need to do it by way of ordinance. And we could do all three readings this evening, correct? This would be ordinance 2016-13, if someone would please.
Make a motion to place ordinance 2016-13 on its first reading by short title.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2016-13 in its first reading by short title. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Tim?
Ordinance number 2016-13, short title, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur, Indiana, which establishes a non-reverting operating fund for donations and expenditures by the Decatur Fire Department for smoke detectors.
Make a motion to pass ordinance 2016-13 on its first reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2016-13 on its first reading. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Cam Collier?
Yes.
Craig Koshaw?
Yes.
Matt Dyer?
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp?
Yes.
Wiley Sirk?
Yes.
Make a motion to place ordinance 2016-13 on second reading by short title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2016-13 on its second reading by short title. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Ordinance number 2016-13, short title, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur, Indiana, which establishes a non-reverting operating fund for donations and expenditures by the Decatur Fire Department for smoke detectors.
They got to take that real deep breath. John, something coming. That is short title.
I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2016-13 on second reading.
Second. I have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2016-13 on its second reading. We would have roll call vote, please.
Cam Collier?
Yes.
Craig Koshaw?
Yes.
Matt Dyer?
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp?
Yes.
Wiley Sirk?
Yes.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 2016-13 on third reading by short title.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to place ordinance 2016-13 on its third reading by short title only. Tim, a deep breath, please.
Ordinance 2016-13, short title, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Decatur, Indiana, which establishes a non-reverting operating fund for donations and expenditures by the Decatur Fire Department for smoke detectors.
Well done.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 2016-13.
Second.
I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2016-13. Would I have a roll call vote?
Cam Collier.
Yes.
Craig Koshaw.
Yes.
Matt Dyer.
Yes.
Tyler Fulenkamp.
Yes.
Wiley Sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance 2016-13 has been adopted. I believe we have a couple of event forms. We have an event form for Calithumpian Week. Phyllis?
Oh, no.
Melissa has, okay.
I think some of the street closures proposed will change because of the
Sewer
sewer project.
project. Okay, yeah, the Calithumpian Committee of Decatur is,
Mary Freet, Mike Gunn.
yeah, Mary Freet filled it out. I'm just looking at the... Going to use the City Hall restrooms, which is fine. It's been signed off by 3 department heads it needs to.
They're going to use this?
The City Hall restrooms
Oh, they are?
out
No,
front. yeah.
I've never done that before.
And this would be for 3 days, Saturday, October 29th, when they have the fireworks, Jackson Street from the Chamber parking lot to Highway 224 East would be closed. The Calithumpian Committee would put in place and remove the barricades at Riverside exit onto Jackson. On the 30th, Sunday the 30th at 8 p.m., Madison Street between 2nd and 3rd Street would close. They'd like to close that Sunday evening to avoid the problem of vehicles being parked there on Monday morning. And then on Monday the 31st, Monroe Street extended from the back entrance of the high school at Stadium Drive to US 224 would close for the staging of the parade. Also on Monday the 31st, from 5 to 10 p.m., various streets, Madison Street from 2nd Street to the alley toward 1st Street, Court Street from 2nd to the alley, Jefferson from the alley between 2nd and 3rd to the alley between 1st and 2nd Street. All alleys leading to 2nd Street between Adams Streets to Jackson Street. No parking on the 1st Street parking lot beginning at 12 noon on the 31st. No parking on 2nd Street from Adams to Monroe Streets. And they would close 2nd Street from Monroe Street to 5 Points from 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. From 6:45 p.m. to 10 p.m., Monroe Street would be closed from Belmont High School to 2nd Street. And like Melissa said, some of this might change a bit once we know the situation of the sewer project. But having said that, it's pretty much the same as in years past. If I could get a motion to approve this event form.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve this event form. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Thank you. There you go, Phyllis. And then we have another event form for Ed's Motorcycle Service and Repair. They are planning on September 29th from 4 p.m. That's when they would set up. Event start at 5:30, go to 8 p.m. on the corner of Jackson and 1st Street. One of their mini rallies or whatever it is, here it is, it's a bike and car night, fall block party, rain or shine. And Ed's has been having events and everything's been very well done for them. So if not a problem with council, I'd look for a motion
I'll
to
make a
approve
motion to approve that event.
Second. Motion and a second for Ed's HD Motorcycle Service and Repair. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same.
Have one more.
Oh, Phyllis has one more. Decatur Fire Department. Coming from Jeff Sheets and Tony Stimson, looking at 7th Street and Jefferson Street on October 12th, from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. It's an open house at the fire department. By golly. I was just looking for what it was. It's open house.
It probably should be 4 to 8.
48.
40.
Well, it says their setup will start at 3 p.m. and the event, okay, make it 4?
Yeah.
4 p.m. until 8 p.m. And open house at the fire department's always a good thing, so if I
Yeah,
could
I'll
get
make a motion to approve the,
second. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
even
Thank
though
you.
Jeff Sheets' name is on it.
Yeah. Okay. Jeremy, Melissa, recycling update. We got 1 week and a couple days under our belt. Had a few hiccups, but Jeremy, can you fill us in?
For the most part, everything went fairly well. Participation seemed to be more than what we anticipated. I think part of that's due to the residents knew that the program was getting ready to start, and they were holding some items. Be very interesting next Friday to see what the quantities difference is from last week to next week. But a few little hiccups, nothing real serious. We're going to work out a few minor little details with some people with their own containers. Possibly we're looking at purchasing some recycled stickers to put on the containers so everyone knows what's trash and what's recycling and so on and so forth. But for the most part, everything went well. Had a couple meetings with Hank since we started. Everything seems to be relatively satisfactory with Hank. They actually picked up a whole box truckload of plastic this morning that we had picked up last week. So and that gives you kind of an idea. I'll try to forward some pictures on to the council members that we've taken over the last week or so.
That'd be great for Facebook too.
Cardboard has been huge. You know, cardboard is very much accepted and needed due to the cost of the commodity when they sell the commodities. So kind of working out a few little details with collecting cardboard. It's been a little difficult, but it's not impossible. So
And the cardboard, obviously, you really can't go in unless it's small pieces. You fit in your tote, so you just lay it alongside the tote. Rain or shine, it can get wet.
rain or shine. Correct. But if it keeps going like it did last week, it'd be a very positive program, which I think it will. I think we will grow. We've sold just a little over 400 of our own totes so far. So we're just over the halfway mark on the totes that we purchased. Tote sales have dropped, obviously, the last 3 or 4 days. We went from selling 15 to 20 a day on an average to, I think I sold 2 today. We didn't sell any yesterday, so it's kind of up and down a little bit. Totes are still available at the Elm Street facility from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. So if anyone needs totes or needs information, ideally we have a lot of volunteers passing out the recycle information, what we take, what we don't take. Some of the volunteers were not completed with the routes yet, so if people are needing the information, please let us know. We've been working in some of the areas, so we've just been dropping the ones off that people call and request information. Any other questions or concerns that they have, they can give me a call at 724-3356.
The little hiccups we had last week more or less involved totes that weren't the city totes. When it's not a city tote, it can be anything and everything, and so they all look different. So it's just understanding that it was definitely a recycling container, not something that was trash. So that's one of the reasons why we're going to get stickers, and we want people who are using their own totes to put a sticker on there so that it'll be identified as recycling and not trash.
The majority of the people are doing a real good job
Right.
separating. We went to places where they had 10 individual containers. You pop the lid off and there's 10 individual commodities. So that was a good sign. There's places that had a couple 30-gallon trash cans that were just plumb full of water bottles and plastic and such. So I don't think that we'll see that volume every other week. I just think that there was a combination of people knew the program was starting, and so they kind of held some of that stuff back. So if the trend keeps going, we may have to adjust our schedule a little bit, but I would like to keep running the way we are until we get through our review process a little bit later on this fall and sit down and go through some numbers and kind of go from there.
Good.
So, any questions or concerns or anything at this point?
just praise, thank you and your guys and Melissa for the hard work and getting us going.
So far, it's been pretty smooth. It's obviously, anytime you have a new program like this, you're going to have some hiccups. You know, but we're continue to work through those, continue to get the information out, and adjust where we need to adjust.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Last thing that I have on my agenda is, for the second year in a row, we've been approached by a mother here in Decatur, Heather Hillary. She's not here this evening, and I got notified that she's under the weather, or she would have been here. And it's to recognize a disease called, I believe it's called Chiari, but it's spelled Chiari. And this past weekend, they had a walk for a fundraiser for Chiari, and this week is actually Conquer Chiari Week across America, and she asked that we read a proclamation making this week Conquer Chiari Week, and I will read that here. This is an official proclamation to all whom these presents may come greetings. Whereas in September 2016, we will hold a walk during the annual Conquer Chiari Walk across America, and whereas Chiari malformation is a serious neurological disorder affecting more than 300,000 people in the United States, first identified by Australian pathologist Professor Hans Chiari in the 1890s and categorized in order of severity, CM types 1, 2, 3, and 4, and whereas Chiari malformations are considered defects in the cerebellum, which is part of the brain that controls balance. This creates pressure on the cerebellum and the brainstem and may block the normal flow of cerebral spinal fluid to and from the brain. And whereas the cause of Chiari malformations is unknown, but scientists believe it is either a congenital condition caused by exposure to harmful substances during fetal development, or that it can be a genetic condition as it may appear in more than one family member. And whereas the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke for the National Institutes of Health are conducting research to find alternative options and treatment. Now therefore I, Ken Meyer, Mayor of the City of Decatur, State of Indiana, do hereby proclaim September 18th through 24th, 2016 as Chiari Awareness Week in the City of Decatur, invites all citizens to duly note this occasion. In testimony whereof I hereto set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of Decatur, done on this 20th day of September in the year of our Lord 2016, signed Ken Meyer, Mayor. So I just wanted to make that a matter of record then, Phyllis, if I could. So moved. Motion and second to make this a matter of record, and I'll make sure that this gets in the hands of Heather, and thank you very much. That is everything I have. That was actually my mayor's report. Let's go to department heads, and I'm going to kick it off with Melissa. Maybe Melissa wants to touch on this and some other things, I'm not sure.
Yes, the bicentennial celebration is coming up on September 30th. All of you have a schedule of events in front of you for the whole county. The torch will arrive downtown Decatur at Founders Park at around 7 o'clock. Then we'll have a birthday party for Indiana. Everybody that comes will get cupcakes. We've got some cool Indiana backdrops for some art. And the art students at Belmont for some selfies. And we're thankful to have the bicentennial experience with this. It's a semi-sized mobile museum that's free for anybody to walk through that shares the history of Indiana. And that'll be in the 3rd Street parking lot. So
Right.
Please join us downtown. It'll be a fun evening of Indiana history.
And Decatur has 6 torch bearers that day, and 2 of them happen to be present this evening. Sprinters. Sprinters, yes. Torch sprinters. John Schultz and Larry Macklin. Brittany Hartman from Decatur, she's a high school student, will be, she will be running with it, yes. Larry Macklin, Fritz Boltemeyer, Vic Porter, Larry Ish, and John Schultz, I know, will be taking over at 5 points and sprinting down 2nd Street to Founders Park where the celebration will be. So that'll be a pretty cool day, I think, here in Decatur. So, Melissa, anything else you have tonight? Jeremy? Street paving.
Last week was a success. It's many items, like normal, but still good programming for the community. This is an opportunity to clean up. We touched on recycling earlier. Just as a reminder, it runs every other week. A few people were a little confused this morning. The last 2 mornings sent their stuff out. So, with the additional low-up money that was appropriated for street paving, that work will begin on this Friday and will continue for the next 3 weeks. This is probably the largest amount of street paving we've done at one time. There's relatively 16 to 17 streets that we're going to do on this first round. Just keep in mind they're still another round in the spring on top of the additional or the regular money that's appropriated annually. So, street projects, we should be winding down here, but it actually seems like we're picking up here towards fall. But there's still plenty of time to get the asphalt down. We'll still be buttoning up a few areas that still need some attention. Doing some little patchwork here and there on some little divots and potholes and stuff. Just trying to get it ready for the winter. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Jeremy. Bill, got anything?
Oh, I have nothing.
Ann? Les?
Just a reminder, closing on the open house, that, the open house will be the 12th, and we'll have some light refreshments, like Lutheran Air, and I believe we're going to have a Indiana fire training, district fire training prop there this year that they'll be doing live demonstrations. So it'll be an activity for the kids. We'll get the word out to the local schools, so kids probably bring them a flyer and a reminder that is the event. Everybody's welcome, adults, kids, and pray for good weather that night.
Roger?
Nothing tonight, Tim.
Greg?
Nothing, thank you.
Council? Comments?
Just something, I just wanted to say thanks from the Chamber of Commerce, for the employees of the City Department, City Street Department, for putting new mulch around the City of Decatur's Chamber. It certainly looks nice, and we certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much. They buried some downspouts, got the water away from the building, really did a nice job. Thank you.
And at the same time, congratulations to Craig on accepting the director position at the Chamber. And again, just like Trevor, Craig pretty much hit the ground running. Boy, he's been all over the place for the last few days. Man on the go. Any other comments from council? Tim?
Yeah, if I can take the liberty, I want to say something about Larry. I'm probably in a little bit unique position.
It's going to be long.
No, it won't.
Something's never changed.
I get the opportunity to work. It happens with the mayors, with John and with Ken, and certainly with Larry, and it will with Trevor. But there's confidentiality sometimes. You're dealing with very sensitive and confidential information, and oftentimes the mayor or the Economic Development Corporation director can only talk to the attorney. And so I've had the privilege of working with Larry for the last 10 years, and you get a chance to see somebody at work in a very up-close and personal way. And the thing that impressed me with Larry was how effective he was, and it was because he had developed such a vast network of contacts and relationships throughout the state over the long period of time that he's been in public service. And he has this disarming and engaging and charming demeanor that helps build relationships. And he used that very effectively. He had a mixture of Midwest common sense and good humor that helped strengthen those relationships that he was building. He was extremely dedicated at what he did. He worked early morning hours, he worked at night, he worked on weekends, and I would get calls from him. So I know that. His leadership was never more apparent than when he and John were working together on two big projects that meant a lot to Decatur. And I still don't know that people fully understand the impact of replacing the railroad bridge over the St. Mary's River, but that was a huge undertaking. And to give you an example of what was involved in trying to coordinate that, we were working with NDOT, the DNR, architects, engineers, the railroad, Bungie, the city, and federal funding agencies. And that was done in a compressed time of about 4 months in order to get this project to the point where it would actually be funded. Had Larry not been in the position that he was, and had he and John not had a close working relationship, that bridge wouldn't be there today. And if you go ask Bungie how important that bridge is to them, do so. Because at the time, they were sending cars out that were loaded at most at 75% capacity. Today, they're fully loaded. And as a result of that bridge being replaced, we also obtained commitments that that rail spur would be kept and upgraded. So that's extremely important to our economy, and it's something that would have never happened had Larry not been in the position he was at the time. The other time that I saw his involvement be so critical is when we were fighting to keep Fleetwood in Decatur. If you go back to when John was a new mayor in the first year, that's when the economy tanked. That's when Bungie went under, and Bungie had already shed 400 or 500 jobs, and there were another 400 or 500 hanging in the balance, and it was us in Fleetwood, or Riverside, California, is they were debating. And as it turned out, because Larry and John worked tirelessly to lobby to keep those jobs here, that happened. And look at Rev today and how many people are employed there. So I want to say that publicly, because had it not been for them, we wouldn't be in the position where we are today on both those counts. So, I had the opportunity to see that very close, very up close and personal. Larry, in my opinion, was a leader. He's a man of integrity and honesty. He was very deeply committed to our community, and because of what he did over his life, we have a better community that we all enjoy today. So I want to echo the sentiments of thanking you for what you've done.
Thank you, Tim. Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you. Phyllis, you have anything?
No, thank you.
Any comments from the public tonight? John, you got anything?
I have nothing. Thank you for the invitation to come.
Thanks for coming. Come anytime, John. I'm looking for a
Motion to pay the claims?
Okay, second. A motion and a second to pay the claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same? We're adjourned.